Hi, my name is Chris DePuma, and this is my Digital Signal Processing Critical Review. The paper I will be reviewing is Digital Signal Processing Restoration Techniques for Audio by James A. Moyer. This paper was originally presented at the IEEE International Conference on Image Processing in October of 2007, and it was later added to the IEEE Explorer website November 12, 2007. And it discusses digital signal processing techniques used to recover damaged analog music recordings and convert them to digital. The reason for this restoration is because before the 1980s, the only method for storing music was on analog devices such as vinyl records, which have a limited lifespan. And if we do not recover this music from the analog storage devices they're stored on and convert it to digital and remaster the gaps that might be missing or distorted, then we would lose this music forever and future generations would not be able to enjoy it. The author, James A. Moyer, worked for a company called Sonic Solutions, one of the first two companies to digital remaster classic music. The company is still in business today and uses his trademark technology, no noise. Moyer also has 4 patents in the area of digital signal processing and over 40 publications. The 3 types of noise presented in the papers and their solutions are broadband noise, which is heard as a hissing sound, and its solution is to find an area of noise and apply a Wiener Hop filter, and impulsive noise, which is clicks and crackling, which is corrected with auto-regressive modeling, and hums caused by 60 hertz alternating current running through electrical equipment from the audio system that was used when recording the original music. So, broadband noise. It's described as noise that shares significant spectral overlap with the music. Specifically, the spectral portions of the music drop below the noise's floor. And this means that there's no way to simply just eliminate the noise because you'll lose the spectral content of the music. The only way to attenuate the noise is to try to match the spectral portion of the music and the spectral portion of the noise. The way outlined in the paper is to try to find an area where there is as little music as possible and only noise, and then create a filter from this formula presented on the screen where the G is gain, and alpha is attenuation, lambda is the noise floor, the T is the abruptness of the curve of the filter, and the S is the signal. And when you match it with that area in the signal where there is only noise and no music, then you adjust the filter to attenuate the noise completely away. And then you take this filter that you've created and you apply it to the following segments one by one until you've covered the entire signal that you want to filter. And once the noise has been attenuated, then you're done. So impulsive noise is described as clicks and crackles caused by gaps in the signal. These are usually caused by either scratches in the vinyl records or pieces that have deteriorated and are actually missing at this point in time. Clicks are several milliseconds long and separated by roughly 25 millisecond gaps. Crackle is caused by gaps that are sub-millisecond size and are separated by 1 to 2 milliseconds. The solution to fixing this problem is to do an auto-regression model, and then once you've modeled it, you want to invert your filter. The purpose of inverting your filter is so that the gaps now jump off the screen as basically high outliers on the image that you're looking at, and you can eliminate these outliers and then use a technique known as least squares to fill in the points that you've pulled out the outliers and piece it back together to create a remastered version of the signal. And hum. Hum is caused by unprotected electrical wires like we discussed before, and it's Originally, the author, Mr. Moyer, thought this was going to be really easy to fix because it's 60 hertz, you know the frequency, it's a uniform sinusoidal signal, but he was surprised at how difficult it was for him to fix. And he actually had to create a series of hundreds of notch filters. Each notch filter was, the width was customized, and he had to do this to eliminate both the noise, but a problem he had when he originally did this before he customized all the filters was that it created a delay in the signal, which created an echo effect in the music. And so customizing these filters to minimize the delay while still eliminating the noise took a fair amount of artistry on his part that he developed over years of experience. So the review of the paper, I thought he did a really good job, and he's a good writer, and did a great job of telling a story at the same time as educating you. Sometimes technical papers can be a little dry if you don't hook the reader in and give them a good reason for why they want to learn this information. Me personally, I really love music, and I'm also interested in history, so a historical process of how this music was saved and preserved for future generations kind of brought me in. And then once he started talking about the actual technical processes, I was more interested because of the story that he had told. And when he actually talked about the processes, he went out of his way to define certain terms such as like autoregression. In the introduction, he spent several sentences explaining in layman's terms what autoregression is, so that it was a less daunting read for people who might not be experts in digital signal processing. And I personally really appreciated this. Also, he did go into a lot of technical detail with some of the formulas and stuff, but he did it he labeled all of his variables really well and made it easy for the user to pick out what was represented in each formula. And this was also good. The one downside to this, he had one visual of a signal that he had remastered of a Dolly Parton song called Crazy. And I liked that signal, and I think more images like this that illustrated the process that he was going through, each of the three processes he described, would have been useful for me to visualize the process better. And the other downside is at times his information was a little bit vague. He stated in the paper that he was not giving out all the details because some of these processes are proprietary information that the company still owns, and so he didn't want to get into any conflict with that type of situation. But overall, it was a good foundational paper to get you started in digital signal processing for remastering audio. And there are more complex techniques, obviously, that have been developed over the years, but this is the general foundation, and a lot of these are standard practice still today.